Yeah, thank you all for coming today. I'm very happy that I can talk about my favorite subject, which are glosses. And as you can see, I will present today 4 different manuscripts, talk a little bit about them, and then after the presentation, as usual, we'll have some more time if you're interested in details. And I'll be here to answer some questions, and Aletta, of course, as well. So first about glosses. So I don't know if all of you know what glosses are in the historical linguistic sense. A gloss is usually defined as anything on a page which is not text proper, but which is intended to comment on the text. So you would have a main text, as you can, for example, see in this manuscript. And then around the main text you have comments, notations, translations. Many glosses are in the same language as the main text, so both of them Latin, but you also have many vernacular glosses, and that's what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at Old High German glosses. And this is especially interesting for Old High German because most of the unique lexemes that we have in Old High German are actually glosses. So we have about 24,000 unique lexemes in glosses, but only 4,400 in texts, in Old High German texts. So you can see glosses are very, very important for the Old High German language or for researching the Old High German language. And in my opinion, they're also especially interesting because in glosses you have, in vernacular glosses, you have 2 linguistic systems combined. So you have glosses which translate the Latin, so partly copy the Latin characteristics, but also obviously they're translated into Old High German. So you have the Old High German language system and the Latin language system combined. And the glosses that I want to show you today are different types of glosses. So in the first manuscript, that's from the 9th century and contains Priscian Institutionis Grammaticae. And as you can already see on the page, there are many, many, many different glosses. Most of them are Latin. You can see marginal glosses, even larger commentaries in the margins, but you can also see single word glosses, interlinear, but also single word glosses, marginal. And they're actually in this page, I mean, you can have a look at it later in detail, but there are 2 Old High German glosses hidden in all of these Latin glosses. So Henrike is zooming into them right now. They're on the right page, so folio 39 recto, line 20 and line 36. And I'm happy to show them to you later in detail. So you can see how finding Old High German glosses in such large corpus of Latin glosses might be difficult. And what you can see here as well, and also the next manuscript, that often the same scribe was glossing in Latin and in Old High German, which is very important when you analyze the Old High German glosses, because that shows us that they often had the same function, but their meaning was transmitted just in a different language. So the next manuscript is also very exciting because these are newly found glosses. So if you look at the manuscripts, you will see that, so it's from the 11th century, from the southwest of Germany, and Gregory the Great's De Cura Pastorali. And if you look at the manuscript, you will see that the glosses are actually very well visible. So they're perfect to read, and still they were only discovered or only identified as Old High German glosses about 2 years ago, I believe by Matthew Halford, when the manuscript was digitized. And you will see that most of the glosses are Latin glosses, but within all those Latin glosses we have by the same hand about 95 Old High German ink glosses. And again, you can see 2 of them on folio 67 recto. One single gloss in line 1 or above line 1, but also a group of glosses in line 3 interlinear, which is especially exciting because this group of glosses is not translating the Latin sentence word by word, but is actually paraphrasing the Latin sentence and therefore creating an individual vernacular syntax.
Can you just read out the sentence ubilis?
Ubilis, gesellen, macman, siehc werden. Yeah, and the Latin sentence, you will see if you look at the manuscript, is much longer, but the gloss is translating the meaning in a way that the translator or glossator thought was most useful for the people who worked with the book. So glosses are mainly for working with the text, so they give, as I said, comments on the text and help you understand the meaning of the main text, or even the linguistics. So much linguistic information is actually in the glosses. And with the last two manuscripts, I want to show you actually a different type of gloss, not ink glosses, but scratch glosses. So this manuscript is
Laud Lat 108.
Yeah, it's from the 9th century and contains Bible commentaries and Bible texts. And so the main text again is Latin, and it contains 9 Old High German glosses and 12 Latin glosses. And of these 9 Old High German glosses, 4 of these 9 Old High German glosses are scratch glosses. So glosses were not only written in ink with a quill, like you can see in these two manuscripts, but actually scratched into the parchment using a stylus. And you can imagine that finding scratched glosses is even harder than identifying ink glosses within a large corpus of Latin glosses, because often using the light that we have in the library from above, you can't really see them. You can see them. The best way to identify them is using light that comes from the side. So this is why I brought this torch. This is how you would analyze the manuscript. You would take the torch and then shine the light from the side, from above, just from different angles to see if there are any scratch glosses on the page.
Because we aren't allowed candles.
We aren't allowed candles, yeah. The theory is that in the Middle Ages, people used candles to read. And the candlelight, as you can imagine, would not be from above, but also from the side. It would be a completely different light than we have today. And scratch glosses probably were much better visible in this light than they are today if we have our electric light. So here, what you can also see very well with this gloss, it's on folio 23 recto in line 16, glossing Latin cura with Old High German Lust, which means lust. And have a look later, this gloss is actually pretty well visible even without a torch. And you can see here that using a stylus to gloss, actually the letters have different shapes. I mean, as you can imagine, scratching in the page is not as easy as writing on it with ink. So the letters have often a different shape, so it's sometimes harder to actually identify and read the scratch glosses than reading ink glosses. And the last manuscript that I want to show you today doesn't have Old High German glosses, but Old English glosses. So it's from the 9th century and contains works of Aletta and Prudentius, and was glossed about a century later, so about in the 10th century. And why I've chosen to show you this manuscript is that you can see here as well that the stylus was basically used in the same way as the quill. So you don't, so you not only have glosses, but you also have doodles in the margins, which were written with the stylus. And I've printed out some photos with light from the side so that you can see, because these are not very well visible without a torch, so that you can see where to look for the glosses in here. And you can see that in the margins somebody scratched a little wing, maybe an angel wing, next to the main text. Yeah, and there are actually today new methods to identify scratch glosses, so scanners which use light from different angles. So hopefully at one point we don't have to go through the manuscripts with a torch, even though it's very fun, very much fun. But obviously it's also takes a long time to find these glosses. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a look at the manuscript. If you have any questions, I'm here. Aletta's here.